listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
คุณกำลังรับฟังรายการ Your Brain on Air รายการจะเริ่มในไม่ช้าขอให้สนุกกับการรับฟัง
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Your Brain on Air. I am your host, Ollie Vogt Larson. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Magic Monday. Let's have a whimsical time. You know what I'm talking about? I hope you had a wonderful weekend, as did I. I don't know what happened for you. I had a great, wonderful, relaxing weekend. I went to a mall. I went out to Walmart. I did the usual things you do when you bebop around town. You know what I mean? You go to downtown. You drive around. You take a look at the quality of the city around you. And I must say for you, ladies and gentlemen, the level of quality I saw around my city, I saw around the cities that I traveled to, I saw around everywhere, is pretty solid, I must admit. Ladies and gentlemen, I must say, for all of the unrest that may be happening around us, for all of the nonsense, for all of the bull honky that we have going on in the news nowadays, well, by golly, by goodness, ladies and gentlemen, the world looks pretty fun and pretty light to me. I am having a great and wonderful Monday. I hope you are too. Let's get some decent vibes flowing in here. Why not? Oh, yeah. Everybody feel that? I like it. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you are having a wonderful start to your week, as am I. We got a lot of shit to talk about. I could jump right into the politics stuff. I could jump right into all that nonsense. I could sound a lot like this lady.
Wait, why are people trying to normalize the infantilization of the glorification of the gentrification of the justification of the commodification of consumerism, which perpetuates religious psychosis and overstimulates my niche theory? Why are people doing that?
You know, we could jump right into that bull honky, we could jump right into that nonsense, but it is too much. It's too intense for today's vibes. So, you know what? I'm going to start off today by telling you my aspirations for this week. I'm going to try my best to get to a nice grocery store. I have one right down the street, as a matter of fact. They have donuts for free. I went there just this weekend, and as a matter of fact, I'm pissed, because the one time that I did manage to get down there, they have these free donuts. It's in this section, kind of near the cakes, where they sell all of that sort of bakery, whatever stuff, and I make it to this area where they have free coffee, free donuts. It's like the Max in Detroit Lakes, where like they just have the free popcorn and the free coffee to keep people shopping, whatever. But I look forward to this every single time that I go to this Hornbachers. It's the Hornbachers in South Fargo, and it's very nice. It's whatever. It's my favorite. I prefer it rather than any Hornbachers in Moorhead or on the Minnesota side. I'm sorry, Fargo just has better quality. The people that work there are nicer. I don't mean to be rude. It's just a fact. But I go ahead and I go to this place, and me and my fiance we're walking up, and we're hype. We're excited for these donuts. They're the highlight of every trip to Hornbachers. But we see this little man, this maybe 5'2", 5'1", just like crest of like over 4 foot, like double digits. You know what I mean? And he is, he's got his little North Face jacket on. He's looking prim and proper for, maybe he just got out of a diner or something. He had a busy day because of church, because it was a Sunday, very evidently. He was white-haired, looked like a Lutheran, looked very evidently like, boom, just like that's the kind of guy. And this fucking guy, I see him eat not 2 but 3 donuts in the time that I catch him. And listen. They only restock this thing every few hours, and it is only about 5 hours till closed. And the bakery people leave about at like 3. We'd just gotten there at about 5. This fucking guy proceeded to take all of them, every single one of the last ones that we had. And it was just those 3. That would have been enough for me to have one and my fiance to have one. It would have been great. If this guy didn't play greedy, if he went ahead and just took one, like it was like, that's the social contract around here. And what I'm trying to say is that I thought that the people of South Fargo were more civilized. I thought that they had more standards, moral standards. But then this person made me abandon that moral immediately as I watched him whip out his thermos and then take all of the black coffee he could. Listen, I'm sorry to say it, old people lose their manners. They just are like, come to this place and I expect things to be a certain way. It's the same people that are like, they don't bring their cart back, you know what I mean? Because they're like, we pay people in order to bring it back. I just watched fucking Cart Narcs with my stepdad earlier this weekend. It was, and admittedly, my mom did clock it accurately. She was like, some of these reactions seem fake. Some of these don't seem real. I agree with that analysis. Some of these people do look like performances, but I will admit that the guy's core message I agree with. There's a core message of, yes, you may pay people to wrangle carts. You may pay people to do all these sorts of things. But basic decency and standards would incur you as a person that is a member of this community to not be lackadaisical, to not just blow things off, not blow off your fellow man. It's rude, it's uncultured, and it's undignified. And it's quite frankly not something I want to see in my country. I agree with this sentiment that people who don't put their cart back and whatnot are vagrants and kind of leeches off of society. I'm in favor of denaturalizing these people. I'm in favor of having them deported. I'm in favor of having people that don't live by said standards removed from the nation. And as a matter of fact, if we could reorient ICE in that direction, wouldn't everybody else feel a little bit better about that? I mean, I personally would, just being all honest. Like, imagine they took, you could call ICE if you saw someone talking on speakerphone in public, or if you could call ICE on someone who, brings a baby into a restaurant or a movie theater. You're like, all right, family separation's okay with this situation. You go, yep, I'm all right with that. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just ranting. I'm just going off. I'm having a fun time with you. We're gonna get into our first story that we have to cover because it's a bit of a doozy, but I'm gonna keep the relaxing music going to keep the vibes chill. Because guess what? We have more intense stuff that we're gonna get into later this episode. Ooh, willy-nilly, I can't wait for it. Folks, Trump has reiterated calls for the United States to take over Greenland one way or another, his own words. Folks, let's talk about this headline. It's accurately reflecting the recent statements made by our president, Donald Trump, on January 11th and today, the 12th. He was speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One on Sunday. He renewed his push for U.S. control of Greenland, the vast Arctic territory that is semi-autonomous, part of the NATO ally Denmark. He emphasized national security concerns, claiming that if the U.S. does not acquire it, Russia or China would take it over. He stated he would prefer to make a deal, but insisted, quote, one way or another, we're going to have Greenland. Trump also mocked the territory's defenses, consisting of, quote, 2 sled dogs, underscoring his view that it lacks meaningful protection. Listen, no matter how funny that was, this is not something that we want our leader to be doing. I wouldn't agree with this one slightest bit. The only reason I was in favor of the toppling of Maduro is I'm okay with his practicing socialist regime falling and whatnot. The power vacuum in that country, they don't have nuclear weapons, they don't have any, they're not going to create, they may create an ISIS, but in all honesty, they're going to be too busy taking siestas to be incorporating in with the American population to create terrorist schemes in St. Louis. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. This is already escalating his long-standing interest in Greenland. If you tracked his record, he first publicly criticized the situation going on up there in 2019. He said it was a potential real estate deal back then for strategic resources, including rare earth minerals and Arctic military positioning. I mean, with the rare earth minerals and such, you got Venezuela, you got the oil, you got all that nonsense. I don't know, maybe you'd feel a little sufficed, a little satisfied with that, but maybe he's just pressing his luck. Who knows? Let's continue. In recent weeks, January 2026, the White House has confirmed it is actively discussing, quote, a range of options to pursue acquisition, including purchasing the territory, direct payments to Greenlanders to encourage secession from Denmark, or even military force. Though officials like the Secretary of State Marco Rubio have downplayed immediate invasion plans, Trump's comments follow heightened rhetoric since his 2025 inauguration and come amid his U.S.-Denmark talks with meetings reportedly scheduled. I mean, fun. Reliable sources are confirming that, including reports from AP News, Reuters, NBC News, ABC News, New York Times, Washington Post, BBC, and Fox News, quote Trump directly from Air Force One interviews. Greenlandic and Danish leaders have strongly rejected the idea. and Greenland's party leaders are issuing a joint statement of that the island's future must be decided by its people, and party leaders, wait a minute, say that they don't want Americans to be European allies, including Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen, this is according to the article, have warned that any forced takeover could endanger NATO. China has dismissed the U.S. claim as a pretext for territorial ambitions. As of January 12th, 2026, no formal acquisition processes have been advanced, but the issue remains highly contentious. I mean, if anything, I want to hear it directly from the horse's mouth. Isn't that kind of what you all want? I want confirmation from him if we're going to be going to war with these people. So let's hear it from his words.
Streets be semi-fairly. So go ahead.
One group taking your threats very seriously is Greenland. Are you still thinking of military action there, or is there anything they can...
Where? Military?
Greenland. Greenland. Is there anything they can offer you for a deal?
If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will. And I'm not letting that happen.
Russia or China will.
Russia or China will take Greenland. And I am not going to let that happen.
Is there any deal they can offer you? Either like...
Yeah, sure. I'd love to make a deal with them. It's easier. But one way or the other, we're going to have Greenland.
Are you okay if that compromises NATO? If NATO effectively ceases to exist?
I'm doing a great job. I'm the one that saved NATO. I'm the one that got them to pay 5% of GDP. Wait a minute. It was 2%.
He goes, wait a minute.
And they didn't pay. Now they're paying 5%. I'm the one that saved NATO. You wouldn't have NATO if I weren't president.
What?
Out of NATO, would you consider doing that?
Well, maybe NATO would be upset if I did it. Maybe NATO would save a lot of money. But I like NATO. I just wonder whether or not if we needed NATO, would they be there for us? I'm not sure they would. You know, we spend a lot of money on NATO. And I'm not sure they would.
What situation would we ever need NATO? In all honesty, is he promulgating that, like, oh, if we were ever in a weakened state, they'd never be there for us? We've never been in a weakened state, thank God.
Now, what's happened is, as you know, Sleepy Joe Biden gave $350 billion to Ukraine, and got nothing for it. I got rare earth
Pivot,
back.
just pivot.
I think value back far greater than that, and that's what he should have done. Now, if you look at what's going on with respect to NATO, we have a very good relationship. 5% GDP, and they pay us. We send them military equipment, and they pay us back the full cost of the equipment. The war is, we make money with the war, but I don't even want to talk about that. I want to save the lives. They're Russian and Ukrainian lives. I want to save the lives. That's the only reason I'm doing it. This is Biden's war. Should have never happened. Would have never happened if I were president. This is Biden's war. It's not Trump's war. All I can do is stop it. And I think we're making progress toward stopping it, which would be number 9.25. You know what the quarter is, right? Right? Thailand and Cambodia went at it again, but I got to stop very quickly. I consider that 1/4 of a war.
When was the last time you made a tangible offer to Greenland yet? Have you made an actual offer to Denmark?
I haven't done that, but Greenland should make the deal because Greenland does not want to see Russia or China take over. They don't go there. It's very far away from Greenland. And Greenland, basically, their defense is 2 dog sleds. Do you know that? You know what their defense is? 2 dog sleds. In the meantime, you have Russian destroyers and submarines, and China.
This is Shane Gillis, if he was president. He's making jokes. He's supposed to be addressing the comments directly, which, you know, it's his style. I'm not surprised. I'm disappointed, but not surprised, as per the usual.
Destroyers and submarines all over the place. We're not going to let that happen. And if it affects NATO, then it affects NATO. But, you know, they need us much more than we need them. I will tell you that right now.
In many ways, he's correct. But I want to say this. NATO, it's not. He said if we didn't do what we did, it would have collapsed. It was doing fine when we were when our relationships with it were tensious in every situation. In your first administration, they were doing all right. They seemed to be able to hold themselves together. Granted, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization doesn't effectively do very much after World War II. It was effectively just to keep the Soviet Union within its borders, which hasn't really needed to happen ever since the Soviet Union Union fell apart in 1991. So, there's a lot to be said here. I don't know what to say.
It's a war that should have never happened with Ukraine.
The UK and Germany are discussing plans for a joint NATO mission to protect Arctic security in Greenland. Does that change your calculus at all?
No, look.
No.
We're talking about acquiring, not leasing, not having it short term. We're talking about acquiring. And if we don't do it, Russia or China will. And that's not going to happen when I'm president.
Are you going to increase the amount of military bases on Greenland in the meantime?
Well, we have bases on Greenland.
Are
Yeah.
you going to do more?
We put a lot of soldiers there right now if I want. But you need more than that. You need ownership. You really need title, as they say in the real estate business.
You're on Minneapolis.
Okay, well, if you need title, I don't know. All I know is generally when we acquisition territory, when we invade, when we do all these sorts of things, we tend to destabilize shit. And then the country at large has to reconcile with the ashes. And I've seen it happen in nations abroad. I've seen it happen with territories we now technically, we went in and we now own. Puerto Rico, you know what I mean? Guam, you look at other places, Guarma and whatnot. You look at, I'm trying to think of other ones, but I'm just like, I'm tired in all honesty. Greenland, it has vast natural resources. I don't see why this was something that we necessarily listen. Russia and China have no territorial interests, especially in Greenland. They haven't shown it in any times. It's unfounded. His claim that if we leave this territory, this area of the world ungrabbed by us, then the rest of the world will fall in and then take it from us. I don't know that the ticking time bomb situation he creates in the media is real. I don't think it's borne out by the facts, in all honesty. This is just, I don't know. If we're going to be full honest here, if we're going to lay down the virtue signaling, if we're going to lay down like, oh, I want you to think of me as a good person, I want you to whatever. Let's be really honest. Raise your hand if you as an American, if you're a foreigner, you can't respond to this because this is not, what I mean. Literally speaking, this is for Americans. If you as an American have family in Greenland or your family's originally from there, sure, I'll understand if your answer is different. Answer honestly, how many of you Americans gave a first or even second thought to the land of Greenland, its opportunity, or what its resources or people could offer to the United States? Raise your hand. I'm guessing no one. In all honesty, I'm guessing no one. This Venezuelan thing, we're winning already with this. I mean, we're not winning. We did kill 75 people. But let's not talk about the death toll. It was 0 when we originally reported it. I like the numbers where they are, as he said with the one ship with the COVID situation. I like the numbers where they are. That's how he wants to talk about it. But is Venezuela going to turn democratic republic now that we're here? I doubt it severely. I don't think that intervening in the world's bullshit is never a great angle for a lot of things. Sure, there's bad people, but I'm not in favor of toppling their governments, especially when they have nothing to do with us. You know what I mean? I acknowledge that we share a world, and a lot of those countries, a lot of those parts of the world are going to have laws and institutions and ways of living that I just fundamentally don't agree with, or I think are illiberal, ill-human, like anti everything that we stand for or could stand for as human beings. There are certain countries out there that stand for everything that I don't. And that's perfectly fine. I accept the fact that there are some people that want to live in, or don't want to live in, but some people do move to these countries. We can't ignore the fact that 100 people immigrate to North Korea every year. There are some of these fucking, whether they have mental disorders or whatever it is, some of these people want to live in imperialist, like top-down, government-controlled regimes. I don't agree with it, regardless of if it's communist, capitalist, whatever society you want to live in. It's not top-down will never work for anybody, regardless of who's at the top. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I'm tired of this story. I'm tired of the idea that we're going to be turning Greenland into the next Colorado Springs, or, what's the one, the Aspen in Dumb and Dumber. I doubt it severely that we're going to make any territorial acquisition on this land. But who knows? I have been wrong in the past. And he has proven me wrong in the past. I didn't know that the Venezuela thing was going to happen. He surprised me January 3rd. It was a shocking thing to wake up to. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to go ahead and I want to get to the next story. But in order to do that, I got to read this ad to you. Folks, are you tired of the same old borders? Are you craving a fresh slice of icy paradise without all the heavy lifting of full-blown empire building? Say hello to Imperialism Light, the streamlined administration-endorsed foreign policy that's as easy as ordering takeout. Why would you choose Imperialism Light? Because it's Trump-stamped approved. Ladies and gentlemen, it is backed by the bold vision that once eyed Greenland as America's next great real estate deal. It's now with a light twist, no messy wars, just a quick little topple and chill. Ladies and gentlemen, it is low-calorie conquest at its finest. Forget the calories and outdated colonialism. Our light version packs the all-expansionist thrill with 50% less international backlash. Perfect for adding to that frosty flair to your portfolio. Think less ice caps, polar bear. Think endless ice caps, polar bears, selfies, and untapped mineral riches, ladies and gentlemen. Next stop is Greenland. Why stop at the walls when you can claim the whole island? With just Imperialism Light, toppling is as simple as just a tweet. No nukes, no drama, just manifest destiny on diet. Our customers are saying this. I wanted to buy it, folks, believe me, but with Imperialism Light, we can topple it next. Tremendous. Inspired by the Donald Trump. Don't miss out. Upgrade your foreign policy today and make Greenland the 51st state, or whatever you'd like to call it. Call now, 1-800-LIGHT-EMPIRE. Supplies at the patients of Denmark are limited. Imperialism Light is a satirical concept, not actual toppling included. Void where prohibited by international law, regardless of the fact that no international police exist. Folks, I love it. This is fun. I love the vibe we're carrying through. I hope you're having a good time. I'm enjoying myself greatly. I mean, what does war with Iran look like? I mean, is Trump really considering going to war with Iran? I mean, that's not something that I have anything to be worried about, but apparently CBS News wants us to be worried about it.
Let's turn now to the unrest that is intensifying in Iran and this new warning from President Trump. Let's listen.
Get to it.
We're looking at some very strong options. Iran wants to negotiate. A meeting is being set up. But we may have to act because of what's happening before the meeting.
What?
And that message comes as anti-government protests sweep across the Islamic Republic. A Washington, D.C.-based human rights activist news agency says as of Sunday, at least 544 people have been killed. But despite that, Iran's top diplomat says protests are under control. CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams is in Iraq with much more.
The problem for us covering what's happening inside Iran is that, like most other international...
Well, you're in the wrong country. The moment this lady goes, well, here's our correspondent in Iraq, I'm like, well, how does that help? You might as well be reporting from Azerbaijani.
Journalists, we can't get into Iran at the moment to report from the ground. On top of that, Iran's internet was cut off late on Thursday, apparently an attempt by the authorities to prevent protesters from organizing and also stop them posting videos online for the outside world to see. Now, despite that, some videos are still being posted online. It seems that some Iranians are using Starlink for internet access. And those videos really tell a story. They show mass protests. They show Iranians calling for an end to the regime, an end to the Islamic Republic. Some of those videos appear to show Iranian security forces opening fire at protests, and some appear to show a large number of body bags. That is apparently protesters that have been killed. One of the human rights monitoring groups that's observing the crisis in Iran says that around 500 protesters have been killed so far. Now, we cannot independently verify that number.
Now, this is like, okay, for all of you oldies and for all of you youngins, let's remember Tiananmen Square. This is a very kind of similar thing where you're seeing nationwide protests erupting. If you are, old enough to remember, nationwide protests erupted across Beijing, across China, across all of that bullshit. They had pro-democratic leanings and whatnot. This was largely in the spring of 1989. It was like the nights of June 3rd to 4th, I believe. They were all protesting largely government interventionism, all of those sorts of things. The troops and whatnot, they advanced into central parts of Beijing. They, Tank Man, you get that famous photo of people, of like him standing in front of all of the shit, and no one ever knows what happened to him. He's never been identified and whatnot. The numbers about like the death toll, I mean, it varies depending on who you ask. Let's look at the numbers right here. According to, oh god, all right. The Chinese government reported an official death toll with 10 of the Liberation Army soldiers, 13 people in the armed police personnel. 218 civilians were killed, including 36 students. That's according to the Chinese government. According to the Chinese Red Cross, though, the death toll approximately was 2,600 to 2,700 people. And then Western diplomatic cables, newly declassified UK diplomatic documents from 2017 included in a cable from the British ambassador to China at the time, Sir Alan Donald, reported a Chinese government internal assessment of at least 10,000 civilian deaths. And then a confidential U.S. government file also quoted the Chinese military source with a similar figure of 10,454 killed. Amnesty International estimates the total of at least 1,000, and Tiananmen Mothers, an advocacy group of members and victims of the collective tally of fatalities, they claim to represent a certain number. They identify 202 individuals that have been killed as of 2011. So, much like this, it's a protest that happened literally at times where people who are alive listening to this broadcast right now were alive. If you were alive in 1989, this was happening at the time when you were born. This is just the sort of stuff that certain governments do. They just make entire racks of people disappear, and then we will never know the entire total. I doubt that even after we get Western media in here, they're not going to ever know the entire death total. But 500 people already killed. Estimate that could range from less than that to maybe 10 times that. We will never truly know.
But it's crucial because President Trump has repeatedly threatened to hit Iran hard if protesters are killed. Though, of course, we don't know exactly where his red line is, and we also don't know what impact any U.S. intervention would have. A U.S. official told CBS News that President Trump has been briefed on options for military strikes in Iran. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that President Trump will be briefed on Tuesday by senior officials about possible steps, including not just military strikes, but using cyber weapons against Iran and imposing more sanctions against Iran. A senior Iranian official said that if the U.S. takes military action, then Iran will retaliate. And he said that American shipping and the U.S. military would be legitimate targets. Now, that is highly relevant where we are in Iraq, just across the border from Iran.
Yeah, we get it. You're close, but no cigar. You guys want war with Iran? You guys want war with Iran? I mean, I personally, I'm looking at this, I'm going, tensions are hot. He keeps the tensions hot. You can never know exactly where things are going to go. It's not a comfortable person to have as president, you know what I mean? I enjoyed when Biden was doing things nice and slow, because then you could actually look at the moments of corruption. You could look at the moments of like, wait a minute, forcing down and cramming down a vaccine mandate on businesses of over 100 employees. Ooh, yeah, he did that one nice and slow, so the media has time to, well, they're not going to really pick it apart nearly as much, but it's still bad, and people will reference that it's like one of his bigger mistakes. Honestly, like, whatever. Am I saying I prefer any corruption? No. I'm not saying that I prefer Joe Biden or whatever. Any politician you put out there, I'm sure that they're going to push forward things that I'm not a fan of. War with Iran isn't going to help anybody. Preemptive strikes against Iran aren't going to help anybody. I mean, if you can do one-and-done styles where, like, you went and blew up the nuclear site in Fardur and shit like that, yeah, if you can do one-and-done operations like Maduro, yeah. But if you are going to have anything where, you know, some mom in Missouri is going to have to lay down a bouquet on her son's grave, I'm not in favor of that, and I'm sure that most Americans aren't. I mean, speaking of what most Americans aren't in favor of, I'm sure that most Americans aren't in favor of dividing. You know what I mean? Listen, I mean, depends on how emotionally volatile they are. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so sick and tired of how divided this fucking shooting in Minneapolis is making people. Ladies and gentlemen, Renee Nicole Good, revisionist history and the new angle. Why is everybody so goddamn emotional about this situation? Does the new video support the self-defense claim in the fatal ICE shooting? Drive, baby, drive, ladies and gentlemen. I want to break this down for you. So we've covered this situation, and it is, listen, it is inarguably one of the messiest, most uncomfortable kind of like, well, you know, should this have even happened? What was ICE even doing in the city? There's tons of angles that people look at this and whatnot. Well, he was operating, that particular ICE agent, technically ICE shouldn't have been there, but that particular ICE agent's been operating in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area since 2014. Sure, fine, enough defense. There's all sorts of angles you can look at this. And I would like to defend myself. I would like to defend myself on the angle of this. No propaganda will ever be slung on this show except for Ollie Vogt Larson's propaganda. I refuse to be a mouthpiece for anyone like J.D. Vance. I refuse to be a mouthpiece for anyone like Rachel Maddow. I refuse to be a mouthpiece for anybody who's looking to sling mud in any one particular direction. I look at situations as they come. And I refuse the notion and I refuse the accusation of right-wing leanings, of right-wing preferences, especially when it's just simply not borne out by the facts. It's simply not, especially in regards to the fact that, I'm sorry that a lot of Somalis have been breaking the law in regards to fraud. Am I not supposed to notice? Am I not supposed to notice that it's especially in regards to one people? Am I supposed to not notice that? If I do call it out, suddenly it's right wing. Oh, if I voice statistics from the Census Bureau, suddenly that's right wing? The Census Bureau is right wing? I refuse the notion and I will never be placed into a box. I'm politically homeless as a result. I refuse the notion that I will ever be here to push a narrative for any one person or one piece, the anime name, whatever. We are only ever going to talk about the facts and the facts only on this show. And I will never, ever try to bullshit my audience on something I don't truly, authentically believe. And I truly and authentically believe that this situation, regardless of how you look at it, unfortunately, it happened. It happened. Not a hot take. It happened. Is that a hot take? It happened. Now, what do we do from here? Let's look at the facts, ladies and gentlemen. In the new 47-second cell phone video recorded by the Agent Ross himself and first published on the Minnesota outlet Alpha News on January 9th, then reposted by the Department of Homeland Security and shared by Vice President J.D. Vance. Because as usual, every side of the political aisle grabs the latest piece of advice and says either, this proves my point, or this says nothing new. You know what I mean? It's the obvious. It's exactly what you expect from the media. Everybody gets on their sides. Everybody gets into their camps. And if you don't get into if you don't fall in line, and if you're like, no, she was just trying to get away. And if you try to get away from a police interaction, you're not at fault. Like if you don't, or no, he was acting in defense. She was a domestic terrorist and she was out there to kill everybody. If you don't get in one of the camps, if you don't get on one of the sides, people get mad at you. And I'm one of the people that people get mad at, and that's okay. Because this is, my take is going to be profoundly in the middle. It's going to be profoundly in the center. And each camp, they're going to look at it, guys. They're going to see my take as like a flag in the dirt, as like a common sense, holy man, this was the actual take. This was the real situation. This is really what went down. This is really what's going down. And they will both look at it and they'll say he is a traitor to he's a traitor to their side, he's a traitor to whatever side. I only serve Ollie Vogt Larson, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at it ourselves. Good. I mean, let's take a look at the perspective. It provides the officer's perspective. In it, Good appears calm. She actually says phrases similar to, "That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you." And then it's actually moments before she accelerates forward. It's like a few moments in the video. He is heard saying, "Whoa," as the vehicle moves forward, followed by 3 gunshots. Federal officials, including DHS and Vance, assert that this supports the self-defense claim, saying that Good weaponized her vehicle, endangering the agent's life, especially given Ross's prior incident in 2025 when he was dragged by a car in a prior arrest. Inadvertently a good point. Reliable sources are also presenting divided interpretations of whether the video will definitely support that claim. Outlets like NPR, Reuters, and the New York Times, along with the Washington Post, report that the administration official views it as backing the self-defense claim, but noting the conflicting bystander angles, analyzed via a side-by-side comparison like a 3D model in some coverage by CNN and NYT, suggesting that the SUV may have been maneuvering away or around Ross rather than directly at him, raising questions about tactics, positioning, and justified lethal force. Absolutely fair. Experts cited in the CBS interview and other reports indicate the footage both helps and hurts the self-defense argument, depending on whether the perceived threat was reasonable in a moment under the use of force standards. No final legal determination has been made, and the investigations by the Minnesota authorities have been stopped in view of federal reviews to continue amid the ongoing protests. The incident is still remaining highly politicized, but I am tired of this shit. I want to get someone like a doctor to break this shit down. Let's reference the man himself, Dr. Todd Grande.
Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will offer an update on the case of Renee Good and John Ross. First, I will look at the background of this case, move to an updated timeline of the incident with new video that was recorded by John Ross, then move to my analysis. Renee Nicole Good was born in 1988 and was raised in Colorado Springs, Colorado. In 2006, she graduated from Coronado High School, where she won Best Personality. In 2014, Renee attended Metropolitan State University in
I must say, she clearly did have a great personality. She clearly did. She was clearly full of personality.
Denver. At some point, she married, had 2 children, and divorced. After this, she was married to a military veteran with PTSD named Timmy Ray Macklin and moved to Kansas. They had a son together sometime around 2019. This same year, Renee attended Old Dominion University in Virginia, where she studied creative writing, graduating in 2020 with a bachelor's degree in English.
Good for her.
Reportedly, she was a poet and even won some type of poetry prize. On May 25, 2023, Renee's husband Timmy died at the age of 36. Renee married a woman named Rebecca Good. They lived in Kansas City, Missouri together and operated a home repair business. In 2024, they broke their lease after Donald Trump was elected president. The couple moved to Canada, but soon returned to Kansas City.
People who pick up and move out of nowhere, especially after, just an election, that doesn't suggest to me the most stable of minds. Personally, I've never been the type to be like, let's get out of the country. Let's just leave. Let's just abandon it. We've been Americans our whole lives. Our ancestors fought to live here. But let's just leave. Let's pick up and leave. I've never been a coward like that. I've never been a coward where I'm just like, yep, I'm going to abandon my country. I'm going to abandon my country that my grandparents fought for, that literally, whatever. I have family that enlisted in the United States military. America represents something so much grander and greater, and I'm sorry that a lot of people just like to look at, racism. I know that that's a lot of people's arguments around it. Go to a country that isn't racist. You're not going to find it. Sorry, buddy. You're not going to find a non-racist country. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anywhere because no matter where you go, you're going to have the brown skin that makes everybody look at you. That's just a fact. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. Don't know what else to say. Unless you live in a country where everybody else looks like you, people are going to look at you and notice differences. That's how it works. That's how America works. It's unfortunate. And then there's always going to be assholes. I'm never going to argue against that. We have laws preventing those assholes from discriminating against people we have since the 60s. You know what I mean? I'm saying that, the people who are always suggesting, let's pick up and move. Let's leave. Let's honestly just leave the United States. Why wouldn't we leave? The people that we don't like are in office. I know we have an election every 4 years, but you never know. It's always the people that saying, you never know. The people that just like to play with authentically the people that love to play with the idea of abandoning their country where they raise their children. They're not going to fight for their homeland, the homeland that I was born here. Minnesota's my home. I understand a lot of people don't have as much loyalties, and that like nations, they just mean so much less to people nowadays. They're just people, they're obsessed with like their new coffee makers and shit like that. Like, what's it called? What's the one where it grinds the beans for you? You know, the one, I saw this one recently where it was like at a person's house that I went to. They pour the beans at the top, and it's like in this container, and then it grinds the machine, it grinds it up for them, and then they put it in the thing, and then they tamp it down. And then whatever, and then that makes their espresso. And then they go to watch Andy Griffith and shine their gun collection and talk about how things are horrible because the Biden administration is like stealing their rights, and they're gonna flee up to Canada or something. But even though like Canada has a more socialized government, and also the like liberal people in the same situation where like they go watch I don't know. I'm trying to think of a liberal minded show. Last Week Tonight with like John Oliver, and then they go like, yeah, I'm gonna move to Saskatchewan because they don't have socialized healthcare here. It's like, either or, you're a traitor to your country, and honestly, I'd rather not deal with you because you're not a serious person when it comes to politics. You're just willing to abandon your country, your homeland, the place where you were going to raise your children. It's ridiculous, but if you have that attitude, I guess to me, it says a lot about somebody. To me, it says a lot about someone who's willing to abandon everything, pick up and run. It's a very, like, a gypsy sort of lifestyle. It's a very, like, no ties to anything. You know what I mean? It's very anti-community. It's anti your neighbors. It's anti anything like that. I don't know.
Wanting something different, Renee, Rebecca, and the son that Renee had with Timmy moved to Minneapolis, Minnesota in March 2025.
Good area.
To one of Renee's friends, Renee was a member of a group called Minnesota Ice Watch. This is not a group that tracks the weather. Rather, ICE refers to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. This federal agency had been active in Minneapolis, apprehending illegal immigrants. Minnesota Ice Watch was dedicated to resisting ICE, the police, and all colonial militarized regimes.
That is interesting. You look at that and it's like, oh, they met this group through their kids' day school. This group called Anti-Ice, Ice Watch for Minnesota. And they train people in regards to like removing them from ICE's care, like with their hands. He'll state it in a moment. It's in their stated goal, going against the oppressing colonizers and whatnot. It's obvious what their lingo is and whatnot. I'm not against the idea that, sure, hold ICE accountable for, like, make sure that their investigations are actually into people who are here illegally. Do that. No one's saying not to. Do that, absolutely. Don't get involved. Maybe ask them questions on the side, but don't get involved. And record them with your phone. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? And if they escalate it and continue to act like thugs, it only supports your point. It only supports your point. They're gonna act like thugs if you give them the time. Just give them time. They will eventually bring out the batons and the escalated force. That's how it works.
They deployed advanced tactics like whistling when they saw an agent and physically removing an arrestee from the grip of law enforcement officers. This brings me to the other key player in this story, Jonathan Ross, who went by the name John, was born in 1982 and lived in a southwest suburb of Minneapolis. He served in the Indiana National Guard from 2002 to 2008. In 2004 and 2005, he was deployed in Iraq, where he was a machine gunner and served on a combat logistical patrol team. In 2007, he joined U.S. Customs and Border Protection and was stationed near El Paso, Texas. In 2015, he went to work for ICE as a deportation officer and was stationed in Minneapolis as part of a special response team. In June 2025, John pulled over an illegal immigrant named Roberto Munoz in Bloomington, Minnesota. When Roberto refused to leave his vehicle, John broke the rear driver's side door window and reached in. Roberto drove away and dragged John 300 feet. John required 20 stitches in his right arm and 13 stitches in his left hand, but made a full recovery. Now moving to the timeline of the incident. On January 7, 2026, 37-year-old Renee Good was operating her maroon Honda Pilot SUV in the central neighborhood of Minneapolis, which is where she lived. She pulled sideways across Portland Avenue between East 33rd Street and East 34th Street to disrupt the activities of ICE agents who were operating in the area. She was not actually blocking the street, But again, she was pulled.
She was angled in a way to where it would only intersect with the police. But she was waving people by. She was literally going, go around. She said to the people that were driving past and whatever, the people who were not ICE agents. She was there to only get around and get near the ICE agents. So she had no interest in obstructing traffic. She was not like a societal menace, like as claimed by the cowboy hat queen, Miss Christy Nome. She was not a domestic terrorist looking around for people to kill. You know what I mean? She was just in the mood to obstruct ICE, probably not very confidently, honestly.
Sideways across it. One of these agents was John Ross, a man who may have been sensitive to vehicle activity based on being dragged by a vehicle 6 months earlier. John walked around Renee's Honda Pilot as he video recorded with a cell phone. As he walked by the driver's side, Renee, who had her window down, said, "That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad."
She's not nervous. She's chill. She's not like wiry or anything like that. She's just there. She's just kind of like, that's chill, dude.
As John moved to the rear of the vehicle, he encountered Rebecca Good, Renee's wife.
It's obviously a level of antagonizing, but it's not like antagonizing, getting in his face or anything like that. She's just going, show me your face and tell me who you are. That's it. That's all she's saying.
It appears as though she had been riding in the passenger seat of the Honda Pilot not long before this. Rebecca was also recording with her cell phone.
Rebecca being her wife.
She said to John, "That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizens." Rebecca then said, "You're
not very proudly U.S. citizen since you ran to Canada." Do you hear that? She's like, U.S. citizen, motherfucker! Come at me, I'm a U.S. citizen! It's like, you just ran to Canada. You're clearly not very loyal to the proclaimed country of origin.
"To come at us? You want to come at us as citizens?" Rebecca then said, "You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead." By this time, John was near the passenger side of the Honda Pilot, moving toward the front of the vehicle. As this was happening, 2 ICE agents approached Renee's vehicle from the driver's side, apparently ignoring her efforts to wave them by. Again, there was room for the agents to drive around the Honda Pilot. There was no need to stop and interact with Renee.
Mm-hmm. They were like, you annoyed us, so get out of the car. I agree with that. That is a ridiculous... That, like, they, in many ways, pushed it forward. They were going to go ahead and they were going to like, all right, let's deal with this bitch. Let's pull her out of the car. Maybe not my thing that I would decide to do, but I'm not a federal agent, like I said.
One agent told Renee to drive away from the scene, while the other yelled, "Get out of the blanking car." One agent grabbed the door handle with his right hand and put his left hand through the open driver's side window. Hearing this, Renee's wife Rebecca tried to enter the passenger side of the Honda Pilot, but was not successful. Renee was already in reverse by this time and backing up with her front wheels turned to the left.
Uh-oh.
At this point, John was near the front driver's side headlight of the Honda Pilot. It appears as though Rebecca yelled, "Drive, baby, drive." As it turns out, this is exactly what Renee did. Renee put the vehicle in drive and pulled forward, turning the front wheels to the right. In response, John quickly retrieved his service pistol with his right hand, pointed the weapon at Renee, and fired 3 times. Renee was struck in the face and died. Her Honda Pilot rolled down the street and collided with a white Honda Accord and a light pole. John Ross was taken to a hospital, treated, and released. At the time...
And by the way, people lied about this at first. They were like, he dropped his phone in order to make it look like he was hit. He never dropped his phone. If you watch the footage, he's still holding his phone after he got hit and shot the woman. He's still holding his phone and recording the situation. He didn't drop his phone.
I'm making this video. The incident is being investigated by the FBI. Local authorities were excluded from the investigation. Now moving to my analysis. Not surprisingly, this case is extremely controversial. Many Republicans believe the shooting was justified. Renee was a troublemaker who was looking for a violent confrontation, and she found one by assaulting a federal officer with her SUV. Many Democrats feel as though the shooting was not justified. In their opinion, John murdered Renee. He could have simply moved out of the way, like he did, but without shooting. There was no need to kill anyone. He was never in danger. There have been protests in several cities, and many people are angry. When I covered this case the first time, the video recorded by John Ross was not available. Other video had been released, which did provide a pretty good view of the incident, but nothing from the perspective of the shooter. In my analysis, I talked about how I believed that John should not have fired at Renee, but his actions did not rise to a criminal level. John could make a good argument that Renee's vehicle was being used as a deadly weapon. Therefore, he fired in self-defense.
Well, there you go.
When the video that John recorded was released, each side of the political spectrum grabbed onto it and declared victory. For example, J.D. Vance posted on X, saying, quote, "Many of you have been told this law enforcement officer wasn't hit by a car, wasn't being harassed, and murdered an innocent woman. The reality is that his life was endangered and he fired in self-defense," unquote. The mayor of Minneapolis had a different opinion, dismissing the new video, saying the officer, quote, "walked away with a hop in his step," unquote. Other Democrats have made statements implying there is nothing new in the video that moves the needle in favor of self-defense. So who is correct? Does the new video prove this was self-defense? Here are my thoughts on a few areas that stood out to me in the video recorded by John Ross. Item number 1, Renee spoke to John prior to the shooting as he was walking around her vehicle. Some people believe that Renee was frightened by the ICE agents, but the nature of her communication suggests otherwise. Renee was smug, defiant, and relaxed. Item number 2, Renee's wife Rebecca was very impolite to John and tried to antagonize him much more than Renee did.
She kept waving at him. She was like, "Come at us, come at us." It's like, yeah, you got your wife killed. Sorry, buddy.
When Rebecca observed the other ICE agents approach Renee, her first instinct was to try to enter the Honda Pilot, presumably to escape. When she failed to enter the vehicle, Rebecca said, "Drive, baby, drive." Given the outcome, Rebecca probably wishes she had contained her excitement and withheld her advice. Item number 3, John was casually walking around and recording the Honda Pilot prior to the incident, presumably to document how Renee was being disruptive. Some people believe that he deliberately walked in front of the vehicle in order to stop it, but it looks like he just kind of wandered in front as part of his recording mission. He probably did not believe that Renee was going to drive toward him. Item number 4, all the other videos of the incident were recorded at some distance, but John's video was close up.
Very.
This view from the shooter's perspective underscores the speed of the incident in a visceral way, one not really captured by the other recordings. There is something about this close position that really drives home how little time John had to make his decision. Item number 5, 6 months before the fatal shooting of Renee, John was injured when he was dragged by a vehicle during a traffic stop.
Of course, it was a Nissan.
After that incident, he probably changed his attitude about interacting with motorists. Maybe his thinking transformed into something like, "I'm never going to let this happen again. The next time someone in a vehicle tries to hurt me, I'm going to shoot them." He may have also been determined to protect other officers from injuries caused by vehicles. John was overly sensitive to this particular threat. He had become hypervigilant. During the incident with Renee, John was standing in front of her vehicle, and John's fellow officer put his hand inside the vehicle. This gave John 2 reasons to fire his weapon: to protect himself and to protect the other officer. This brings me to item number 6. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion.
Generally, and I will say this, I think my perspective, my take on this has not been that crazy. It's not been that out there. If you try to run away, I don't think it's going to go very well for you. Regardless of what your intent is, intent doesn't really matter, especially from the police's perspective. Your actions do. So, I would like to say that probably, I'd say the majority of my perspective aligns with exactly what this fella's going to lay out.
Most tragedies involve multiple failures at various levels. For example, with disasters involving aircraft, ships, trains, and motor vehicles, many unfortunate events conspire to lead to suffering. Law enforcement shootings are the same way. It's rare that the cause of the tragedy is just one bad decision or circumstance. In the case of Renee and John, several factors contributed to the death. Renee may have developed a desperate search for meaning inspired by an existential crisis that occurred after her second husband died.
Mm-hmm.
She adopted a rebellious attitude and propelled her anger toward the first controversy that came up after the trauma.
Yes.
She was upset that Donald Trump was elected president. On the day of the incident, Renee was antagonizing ICE agents, but she was not extremely confident and did not want to go to jail. She was trying to let them drive by when they approached her. The agents were angry by this point and unnecessarily escalated the situation. In a disorganized fashion, they issued Renee conflicting commands. The agent who grabbed her door made this move despite knowing that John was walking in front of the vehicle. He jeopardized John's safety by doing that. Encouraged by her wife Rebecca and frightened by the prospect of facing the consequences of her behavior, Renee decided to drive away. She did not intend to harm anyone. John, who was now in front of her vehicle, had experienced a prior trauma that predisposed him to be hypervigilant around potential perpetrators in vehicles. He did not think, here is a protester trying to escape. Rather, he thought, oh no, it's happening again. Now moving to my final thoughts. In my opinion, the new video does not move the needle as far as the self-defense claim. John should not have used deadly force, but he is not guilty of a crime beyond a reasonable doubt. This doesn't mean the new video had no value. It offered an excellent close-up view which exposed some of the emotions and behavior that the long-distance angles did not reveal. Both sides have claimed victory after the video was released, as if it perfectly proved all the points they had been trying to make since the shooting. I don't think the video reveals a victor. Rather, it drives home the complexity of human behavior, the terrible effects of trauma, and how there were no winners in this tragic shooting. Those are my thoughts in the case of...
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Grande. I greatly appreciate it. You voiced it pretty well, and I don't think I could have voiced it any better. I mean, certainly I think you voiced it better than Mark Ruffalo when he... Oh my God, this is embarrassing. Attended the Golden Globes, and folks, Mark Ruffalo, he put on I think he was going for the Oscar next year, Oscar 2026, because this was an Oscar-worthy performance. Ladies and gentlemen, he's just so moved, and he's so taken by what has occurred. He can't stay silent. He's in a room with a bunch of nice, happy, rich people, and he just can't let everybody be rich and happy. Let's cut right to his words, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Ruffalo, my favorite celebrity from Hollywood of all time.
Joined now by Mark Ruffalo, who is a nominee tonight, and his wife, Sunny. And I want to ask you right off the bat, how much fun is it in that room? Sitting there, you have a couple cocktails, you hang out with everybody, and there's all kinds of conversations going on.
It's usually a lot of fun, but I can't really, I got to be honest with you, I'm not feeling so great. We have a woman.
Oh, really? You're not feeling too great, Mark?
Renee Good was murdered in our streets of America today, and we got...
Can you even remember the city? You seem like you're half in a bag right now. You seem like you've been drinking. He's like, we have a woman who was murdered in the streets of America today. I can't remember exactly where, but like, I have this pin on, says be good. I don't really know. It really, I should say well, because that's grammatically correct, but I wanted to make her name fit.
That's literally stormtroopers running around terrorizing. And as much as I love all this, I don't know if I can pretend like this crazy stuff isn't...
Can I just say this? I love that his wife is so uncomfortable. She's itching her hair. She's like positioning it. She's like, all right, Mark. All right. People get it. You care. Yeah. And then when they go to sit down, he's going to be like, how did I do? Do you think they're going to make another edit of me on TikTok?
Happening. We have a president who says the laws of the world don't apply to him, and we can rely on his morality, but he has no morality. So where does that leave us?
Well, agreed.
The world. So I love these people. I love being here. I love you. But I also can't. It's so hard to pretend anymore. This is crazy what's happening.
So you've been pretending?
I have to ask you, because I have family from the Twin Cities, so I
man.
understand how hard that is right now. Well, lots of people are hurting right now, and that's the problem, is that the people are hurting.
Yeah. And people can't pay their rent. This isn't making us any safer. They can't pay their rent. They can't buy food. Insurance is impossible. They can't take care of their families and health. There's no education. I mean, this is not making America better. If it was, I'd be, yeah, great, let's do it. But that's not what's happening. And we have Americans being shot, killed, a woman. in her car.
So I'm going to ask you this, because we're talking about the problems. What do you think we can do? What are the solutions?
What's the solution?
I think most Americans want the same thing. They want a little sun on their face. They want to know that their kids are going to be okay. They want to know that their kids are going to be safe. They want to be able to pay their rent. They want to be able to know they're going to...
We got issues, and all I'm saying is that we need to fix the issues, and nobody's talking about fixing the issues. God, the fucking...
Send their kids to a good education.
I love it.
But right now...
Yeah.
The whole Senate, the whole Congress has been taken over by corporations. So who's there fighting for...
Like it wasn't before? What are you talking about? Like it wasn't before?
Now, nobody. But if somebody did, they got us at each other's throats. The billionaires got us at each other's throats, right?
Why are you a millionaire? Why are you a millionaire? Wait a minute. What is Mark Ruffalo's net worth? Hold on a minute. If we're going to target billionaires, let's target the millionaires. Let's talk about the people that actually hoard a lot of the wealth. The people that actually hoard wealth, I would love to mention this. It's disproportionate as you go up the ladder. Millionaires, they're still hoarding millions and millions of dollars, but they're not getting charged the level of like 45% their income, whatever, that the billionaires are getting charged. Why don't we throw that on the millionaires? What is Mark Ruffalo's net worth? I would love to know this. Not what was he diagnosed with. I think I know, but like, yeah, Mark Ruffalo's estimated net worth is $35 million, although some recent 2025 estimates place it as high as $90 million. I love it so much. It's because of his central role as Bruce Banner, the Hulk in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, yeah. And then after you've been an angry green guy, suddenly you care a lot. A lot.
They're killing each other. You know what the solution is? It's doing something for the working people.
It's like a love.
Focus on that.
Here's what I'm going to say. I respect the fact that you're using your time in your forum to get out your message, and I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, how can we do that? We can't, I don't know, I can't keep pretending.
No, I hear you.
It's not about me.
You are...
And I know a lot of Americans.
They are.
I'm like a John C. Riley Wright. I'm like a John C. Riley light. I'm like really like I love his accent.
Congratulations. We'll look for you in we'll look for you in Spider-Man too. We'll look for you in Spider-Man. Okay? All right.
And he's like, all right. He's trying to wave this guy off. All right. Rather, Bill Maher, being as old and as a boomer as he is, look at him. He's got a 20-year-old on his fucking arm, and it's like, he'd be like, yeah, jealous. You mad you can't get that, you 20-year-old liberal. He'd be dismissive of it. But I'm just going to say, I agree with his take on this. Go ahead. I agree with it. Play.
Mark Ruffalo and Wanda Sykes also wearing a Be Good pin for Renee Good, obviously, and trying to use this platform for activism. Do you feel that's effective or no?
Come on. We're just here for show business today.
Right.
It was a terrible thing that happened, and it shouldn't have happened. And if they didn't act like such thugs, it wouldn't have had to happen. But I don't need to wear a pin about it.
Well, there you go. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, what other response can you give that kind of a question? Folks, it's messy. It's only ever going to be messy. I'm glad that it's mostly been candlelight vigils and parades. You know what I mean? People putting on art shows and shit like that. That Powderhorn Park, I stayed in there last year, and it was you know what I mean? The protests there have been just like lively kind of dance parties, and it's like, you know what? If you keep that energy going, keep that up, and we'll avoid the reputation of 2020. Hopefully people can keep it contained, ladies and gentlemen. I have a third story I really want to get into, I really want to talk about, but ladies and gentlemen, we got to get into the rapid fire section of today's headlines. The key information that you got to know in order to keep your media diet healthy, ladies and gentlemen. Let's jump into the first one. The DOJ has opened a criminal investigation into the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell. The United States Department of Justice has launched a criminal investigation into the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, reportedly related to his congressional testimony in the Fed's headquarters renovation project. Powell and several former Fed officials warned that the move threatens the independence of the central bank. Financial markets reacted strongly with the dollar weakening and gold prices rising. The investigation has intensified concerns about the political pressure on the United States monetary policy. I mean, yes, Jerome Powell. Listen, he was a fun figure to watch through COVID. You know what I mean? He was one of those the Fed. Are they going to be steady? Are we going to have more of this GameStop stuff? Everybody remembers the GameStop stuff. He oversaw the Fed during all of these sorts of things, and he's had to react to a lot. He's had to react to the cryptocurrency shakeup. He's reacted to quite a bit. And you know what? I think that he just wants to go to bed at the end of the day. I'm going to be honest with you. He seems really, 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 really tired. The DNC chair has sparked controversy by comparing the U.S. to Iran. The Democratic National Committee chair, Ken Martin, drew backlash after comparing the United States government handling a protest to Iran's violent suppression of dissent. I mean, 500 dead in Iran. This is this is durian to apples. You know what I mean? This is two very unlike things. Sure, they're both fruit, but all right, if you wanna, you can. Republicans called the remarks irresponsible, while some Democrats defended them as highlighting threats to civil liberties. I mean, yeah, highlight threats to civil liberties, that's cool. Comments are underscoring deepening political polarization. Trump is also reviving, the Irani claims that protests are under control amid the global condemnation. Trump is saying that's bullshit. Iranian officials are insisting that the nationwide protests have been contained, despite ongoing reports of arrests, death, and clashes. International leaders are continuing to condemn Tehran's actions, and protests in solidarity with the Iranian demonstrators have occurred worldwide. The situation is remaining on the global humanitarian rights issue. It's a major one that you're going to have to watch, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, there was a suspicious object also found at the airport before the Trump departure. The Secret Service investigated a suspicious object discovered at the Palm Beach International Airport prior to Trump's departure. Security protocols were adjusted, and authorities said that there was no immediate threat. The incident has raised questions about presidential security, though few details have been released about it. Oh, Slovenia has set details and a date for parliamentary elections. Slovenia announced parliamentary elections will be held in March. Political parties are preparing campaigns and that will focus on economic policy, energy security, and the country's role within the European Union. The vote is expected to shape Slovenia's domestic and foreign policy direction. Fun. Tobago is holding the House of Assembly elections. The voters of Tobago are electing all 15 members of the Tobago House Assembly. The outcome will determine control of the regional government and influential debates over autonomy, development, and relations with Trinidad's central government. Fun. And finally, this will be our last headline before we jump into our final story. If you're a Grateful Dead fan, or if you're a bassist, if you're a guitar fella, Bob Weir, sorry to say it, the rhythm guitarist and founding member of the Grateful Dead, has died at 78. Big sad. I mean, late 70s, early 80s. I'm trying to place out where people are dying nowadays. How old was Ozzy when he died? How old was Ozzy Osbourne when he died? There we go. How old was he? Late 70s, early 80s? I'm guessing late 70s. He's 76 years old. Holy shit, that's actually really young. Okay. He was born July 22nd. Very fun. 76, is it like 70, late 70s? Is that when people are dropping off nowadays? God damn. I mean, what is the average age in the United States, most recent, average age at death in U.S.? Why not? Latest, according to the Census Bureau, 2020, 78.4 years old in 2023. Man, I don't have a long time. And I'm looking at this with, I'm factoring in my recent relatives that have passed. I'm factoring in everybody. I'm like, damn, I don't got a while. I got maybe... I had family that, apparently I had family in Panama that lived until they were 90, and I'm like, well, I'm not eating plantains every day, so I imagine my nutritional intake is going to factor into it some. That's what I'm guessing. I don't know. Longevity-wise, if I had to guess, well, that's assuming that I don't incur a wrath against me that it results in my assassination at, the age of 33, 35, 37, which I'm really not hoping for. That's a sucky age to die. It's a sucky age to be remembered at. You know what I mean? Charlie Kirk, he died before he was able to lose the weight. So we'll always remember him for his kind of kid face that he had, the kind of chunky kid, kind of cute, chubby cheeks and whatnot. It's I wanted the chance to get svelte. I want to look like, I want to be maybe Kennedy's age if I die. If I'm assassinated, I want to be 45. Because I feel like I feel like when you die too young in your 30s, then people really get sad about it. Where they're like really like, oh man, oh my God, if you die in your 20s, fuck it, people will not remember you in 20 years. I mention River Phoenix to kids nowadays. They go, what? Who? I don't know who that is. I don't watch the third Indiana Jones movie and care very much about Joaquin's older brother, who is inarguably maybe more talented. I don't know. Folks, I want to jump into our final story because it's a big one. It's one that you're going to know about because it will affect everything, ladies and gentlemen. Trisha Paytas. Trisha Paytas. If you don't know her, what can I say? I will describe her soon. Is running and considering a run for the California Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, the Gen Y and Z Donald Trump has arrived. I'm calling it now. She will be the first female president of the United States of America if she pursues this career in politics. I tell you this right now. Trisha Paytas, the popular YouTuber, influencer, podcaster, and media personality, she has millions of followers across all of her platforms, announced in early January 2026 that she is seriously considering a run for the United States House of Representatives in California during the 2026 midterms elections. The announcement came via a YouTube video titled 2026 Manifestations, followed by additional TikTok posts where she described the idea as originating from a vivid dream or vision of herself serving as a representative for the state. She emphasized her desire to truly make a difference, citing concerns about horrible stuff happening in the world. She already has the Gen Z lexicon. Horrible stuff and truly making a difference. Like, it's just so vague. I love it. 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 And specifically in the world of California, she noted that becoming a mother, she has 3 young children with her husband, Moses Hackman, had heightened her awareness of the need to be safer and have a better future. Paytas had not yet formally filed any paperwork with the Federal Elections Commissions or declared official candidacy, and no FEC filings indicate that she has crossed the threshold of required registration as a candidate. But she has mentioned currently Googling the process of running for Congress, suggesting that she is very early in the exploratory stages. She's also floated a potential campaign slogan, California could be good. I love it. I love it. I stood by, listen, because I've always been a person who wants true diversity. I want transgender people who are Republicans and Democrats. I wanted Caitlyn Jenner to be the governor of California back in 2021. I remember walking from class to class. I think it was walking my health class or something. And my fiance at the time, we were just classmates or whatever. I get a notification on my phone and I look and I go, oh my God. And she goes, what? And I said, Caitlyn Jenner is running for California governor. And she said, what? Oh my God. And I said, I know. And I immediately went, I'm going to support her. And she went, what? And I said, I'm going to support her 100%. I immediately went on her website and I wanted to buy a tumbler. It said Caitlyn for California. And I loved it. Her policy goal, raising the minimum wage for participation in the adult entertainment industry to $25, noting her own past involvement with platforms like OnlyFans. She has not specified which congressional district she would target, though she resides in California's 26th congressional district, currently represented by the Representative Julia Brownlee, or which political party, if any, she would affiliate with. I mean, let's just go to this video of her holding her baby. Why not? Let's go. Play.
Currently Googling how to run for Congress in California in 2026. Need to get the documents from election officials, get 40 to 60 signatures. The idea of me being representative for the state of California came to me in a dream, in a vision, if you will. It's so vivid to me. I'm not giving up hope. I'm a mother with 3 kids, and they really need a better world. And
Yes.
I see things all the time, like, how do I stop this? What do I do?
Yes.
How can we make a difference?
Yes.
I never thought of myself as a political person until
I never thought of you either. Ladies and gentlemen, if you weren't a Shane Dawson fan, if you didn't have kids who watched him, if you didn't have like people who were just within the makeup world and the acting world, listen, she's collecting the last of her Infinity Stones. And I love her. I love her so much. And she was born in 1988. She's a young bitch. She's 37 years old. She is a queen. She is an icon. She has been on podcasts like Frenemies. She is known people like Jason Nash, and she had a year-long relationship with Sean Vanderwilt. Vilt? How do they pronounce it? I don't know. Whatever.
I started having kids and realizing like the world could be just just so disastrous. I'm gonna start my state. And I really think my slogan for running will just be like, California could be good.
Guys, I mean, 2026 manifestations, let's just say this. If she runs, if she does, I will be on her campaign board. I will be a longtime supporter for her. I don't care what it is she is getting behind. She really could be a powerhouse. She is one of those core to media, core to culture figures. Can you imagine, and to put this into perspective for like Gen X, boomers, older people, like this is like if Madonna in her prime in the 1980s ran for Congress. Okay? You know what I mean? Not the most emotionally stable individual. Okay, maybe not a person with the cleanest history. Maybe not a person with the most, maybe someone who has BPD. Maybe somebody who has a DID. Maybe somebody who has identified as trans in the past. So what? So what, ladies and gentlemen? I Love You, Jesus. That is one of her best songs that she has. Folks, to appear on the November 2026 ballot, she would need to meet California's requirements, such as filing nomination documents and paying the $1,740 fee or collecting the equivalent number of voter signatures by early March. Trisha, do it and win. Do it and win, ladies and gentlemen. She will be the next big Democratic politician if she wants to be Democrat, independent, whatever she wants to go. She will be a powerhouse. She will. I promise you that, ladies and gentlemen. Folks, thank you so much for listening to today's broadcast. I had a fun, magical Monday with you guys. I cannot wait for Tuesday's broadcast. As you know, subscribe if you want more. Like if you liked it. We do broadcast Monday to Friday. We take the weekends off. I hope that you enjoyed today's stories as much as I did. I cannot wait to bring more to you tomorrow. But in the meantime, this has been Ollie Vogt Larson with your Brain on Air. Thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you in tomorrow's broadcast. But in the meantime, bye-bye.